I'm not sure how to start this video. Wizards released their article for the MTG Arena December 2020 State of the Game. There were a few announcements and not a lot else. There's a little bit that we need to talk about and how to make 2021 a better year for Arena. The video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I'm Joel. We're going to talk about MTG Arena and the state of the game, in my opinion. I think you can already tell my energy's a little off for this video. I'm frustrated. This was a very weird article to see. I had just finished streaming, playing Brawl with some of the patrons on Arena, and this article was blowing up on Twitter, and I went and read it, and I was just left with this empty feeling that I want to talk about. Before we get into it, if you would, go down there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments, once you've seen my whole kind of take on this, my opinion on this, if you agree or not. So let's start by jumping over into the article. I'm looking right here at the MTG Arena State of the Game, December 2020. The first thing up, Scute Swarm is a problem. Nadai. Scute Swarm going infinite has been breaking Arena ever since the card was released. It's become a meme at this point of going infinite with Scute Swarm and crashing the client. Wizards is also saying that it's not only crashing the games in which the card is going infinite, it's also crashing games that are happening on the server at the same time. So Scute Swarm is literally growing outside of the game that it's only in. This isn't surprising. What is surprising, I guess, is their solution to it. 250 tokens. That's what you get across the board. You get 250 tokens max on your board, on your battlefield of any kind. You can't have any past that. Each player will be allowed a maximum of 250 tokens on the battlefield at the same time, and if an effect would create a token instead, it does not. Mana will be spent, the card will be tapped, the permanents will remain sacrificed, etc. However, no additional tokens will be created if you're already at the maximum number allowed. Now, this in and of itself seems more inflammatory than it actually is to me. It's a fine solution. They've had to implement this before. You can see Magic Online has had a similar token limit for years. This is a fine solution to a weird problem, especially as we approach, I guess, a mobile release in Q1 of next year. You know, Scute Swarm was one of the biggest things that people talked about whenever we joked about MTG Arena coming to mobile. Let's quickly go through the rest of the article here. Look, there's going to be another paid tournament. That's awesome. These should be more often, in my opinion, probably for lower buy-ins, more often lower buy-in tournaments. I'm a huge fan of this. But, you know, look, we can pay Wizards more money to play in tournaments. You can get a cosmetic if you participate. There are going to be drafts. There's going to be more Brawl. It is historic, so that's a step in the right direction, but not until January. We're going to have a standard shakeup format. We're going to... Oh, you're losing access to the Euroland soon, so FOMO, FOMO, FOMO. Get in there and buy the Euroland bundles. And then they tease this sleeve, this monster thing, about how we're moving towards Kaldheim next. It's a bunch of nothing, in my opinion. It's just so much announcement. It's a calendar. This is, hey, look what's coming to draft formats. Look what's coming to, you know, cosmetics. It's not addressing any of the issues. And that's really the point for me. I read this article thinking this is the December 2020. This is the opportunity for them to wrap up an entire year of MTG Arena, address complaints, talk about what they're going to do next year, even if they just talk in quarters. The first quarter of the year, the first 2 quarters of the year, we're going to do this. We've heard you. We've heard the complaints. We know that back when the Vault was first conceived, we said it wasn't a permanent solution, and yet here we are in December 2020, and it's still the way that we're moving forward. It's just a little crazy to me. This article didn't say anything. So I have some ideas. I have some thoughts. You know, this year, it's been said so many times. what people's complaints are, how broken the economy is. Saffron Olive, Pleasant Kenobi, April, everybody has talked about this. The economy is screwed. The game, the platform is not providing even the competitive, thing that people want. It's not providing. What is it providing? It's providing partials of everything. The ladder system is kind of screwed up and completely opaque. There's nothing transparent about the ladder system. You compete for an entire period. You don't know where you're going to fall. You move up and down seemingly at random. I've watched streamers sitting at number 4 on the ladder win 6 games in a row and not gain a single step on the ladder. Some transparency there would be nice, and that's just the competitive side. What about the economy? The vault is screwed up. I mean, I don't understand why you have a game where you can't dust, you can't trade, you can't convert, and look at this. What? What is this? 16 copies. 16 copies of Duress. 3 of them are the same art. 12 of them, I guess, would be more accurate to say. I don't get it. This is so frustrating. Not only do we have this vault system that is ridiculous, look at this right now, 200 commons. I would trade these in at 5 or 10 to 1 uncommon. All the way up the ladder, 5 to 10 uncommons to a rare, 5 to 10 rares to a mythic, even though that's much more unlikely that I would do that, because as you can see, I actually use the rares and the mythic rares. The only reason I have that few common and uncommons is that when a set comes out, I blow all the common and uncommon wildcards that I've accumulated previously to make that set work toward my vault. I just don't understand it. That's not how this should go, and there's no word of if this is going to change, if this is going to improve. I've got 16 copies of Duress here, and I can't dust any of these. I can't, that's a term from Hearthstone, cracking, deleting essentially one of these cards from your account and converting it into either a wild card or a step on the chain of creating wild cards. There are a bunch of ways to implement it, I would assume. The fact that I'm sitting here with 16 copies of Duress is just, it's absolutely ridiculous. So what do? I'm sitting here complaining. I'm sitting here feeling empty. There's a lot about the Arena platform that needs to be improved, and there's just not any transparency or any acknowledgement, not even just like a tip of the hat. Hey, we know, we heard you, we're working on it, let us know. No, it's look what drafts are coming, look what cosmetics you can get. I mean, is this game just, it's done? We consider this a complete product at this point? And so far, I've really only touched on the competitive side of things, on the economy side of things. I haven't even talked about what the limited experience is compared to MTGO. I'm not even talking about what the casual experience is compared to MTGO or paper. It's the year of Commander, right? Why are we playing standard Brawl on Arena, and that's all that's available? Normally I'm a very positive person, and this so far has just been filled with complaints. I didn't want to just turn on the camera and complain today, so let's look at some of what I would suggest we maybe start working toward in 2021 to improve the situation. Alright, I made a cool PowerPoint of all my little suggestions, and this is going to cover a wide swath of topics. I've engaged with this game since the beginning. I was in the beta where it was Ixalan, where we were, and that was all that you could play. And the game still feels fairly beta, but with some cosmetics thrown on top. There's never been a set where I haven't worked diligently, coming online, doing my dailies every other day at the very minimum to complete my battle pass and put all those cool orbs in the mastery picture, whatever it's called. But this is the first time where with Zendikar Rising Mastery, I don't think I'm gonna finish it this time around, and I don't really have any desire to. I've only got on Arena recently to play Brawl with the patrons, which is still really fun to me, but even that I think could be improved. let's look at some of my suggestions. We need to increase transparency and stop just announcing new draft formats in the state of the game. This is a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek suggestion. It's not just new draft formats that are suggested in these every time, but it's starting to feel like, hey, look, everything's great. Our game's dope. This is the new draft stuff coming next month. Buy the new Mastery Pass. Catch you later. We need to revisit the vault, and the 5th copy protection needs to be improved. How about we just code it in so that we're not getting 5th copies? It's not going toward a vault. It's not going toward whatever. Just, if you're not going to do away with the booster pack model, which is a huge connection to the paper part of the game, I get it, even though you can go buy singles, and I can't buy singles on Arena. If you're not going to do away with that, just make it so that I can't get a 5th copy of any card. It's so strange to have these historic sets that are releasing and already cost so much to buy into and get a complete version of all the cards that you want in those sets, but also there's duplicates of cards from other sets. I mean, some of them were rares. Some of the lands in the last couple of sets have been duplicated across, and those are rares. Those aren't just commons. That's just not just 16 copies of Duress that I showed you. I want to be able to convert common and uncommon wild cards, or the cards themselves. Take copies of cards that I'm not playing, that I don't want to play, and convert those into something. Make it a track of progression toward wild cards. Make it, some new currency, dust, to borrow from Hearthstone. Well, to steal from Hearthstone. And I can use that dust to buy gems, or to buy the cards that I want. Or, just more booster packs. That's fine if you're going to stick with that model. At least make it a little self-feeding, so that it's not just throwing money into a hole and hoping that we get the cards out that we want. I think from a limited perspective that the drafting rewards should be increased. It should be a little bit easier for the limited players, of which I'm not one, to go essentially infinite on drafting in Arena. You want people to play the format. You want people to play on the platform. And on MTGO, you can essentially just draft, and if you're winning on average, I think, 3 matches, you're able to get back into another draft. What that looks like on Arena, I don't know. Add phantom drafts in, something like that, where you can play and you can earn rewards or whatever, but not necessarily keep the cards. If you think that people are gonna get all the cards too quick and you're not gonna make enough money, which I think is, that's me being sarcastic, but I just think that it should be easier and cheaper for limited players to engage with the format that they want. I think that the latter is fairly toxic, and it needs to either be more transparent how, the MMR works, or it needs to be transparent where everybody is on the ladder. I think it's weird that when you finish a season, you have to wait a few days to get an email that says, this is where you finished, instead of just being told, this is where you finished. You locked in at this one. Great, you're going to be able to play in the qualifier on whatever weekend that happens. I look at MTGO and the trophy system there. You've already got a program that does this, where if you get a 5-win run, you get a trophy, and that goes on a leaderboard and people are able to go and look. Wouldn't that build more content as well? Wouldn't that draw more eyes to the game if I can look at the ladder and see where Croakies and Yellow Hat are and watch them battle back and forth on the ladder? I just think that would be more content and better for the game overall. Transparency is not a bad thing. Expand the dev team, I assume, so performance is more rarely an issue. They have made some strides towards this year. I mean, I remember earlier in the year, essentially the joke was that even MPL members were having to restart their client every 3 matches just to make sure that it didn't crash. A lot of those issues, I think, for the most part, have been worked out, but I mean, you're doing all this other stuff to make money. Hire more devs. And that's also me speaking from a position of complete ignorance of how any of that works. It's just wild to me that a program, that a game, that a company that I perceive as making so much money has these type of issues, and that's even still part of the conversation. I think that we should get some tournament support in the client. Again, I think that this would be good for LGSs. I think that this would be good for bringing more people to the game. If an LGS is able to run a virtual tournament through the client without having to use some kind of third-party program to do all of the pairings and all of the, behind the scenes stuff for a tournament, build that into the program. This is a feature that could definitely be added and be very beneficial in 2021. The next one is add multiplayer. I like Commander. You got me. I like Two-Headed Giant. You got me. It's my favorite way that Jake and I used to go up to the LGS and play in the pre-releases. That was my favorite way to do it. Go up there, hang out with my buddy, play some MTG, Two-Headed Giant style. Duels of the Planeswalkers, I think, is the game that had it, and we've had multiplayer on some of those other games that, weren't quite Magic, but were close, like the stepping stones toward MTG Arena in history. We need multiplayer on this, and there are some competitors that are possibly going to beat MTG Arena to multiplayer, and I just think that's ridiculous. I think that Commander should be on the game. You don't even have to go back and start adding all the cards. I don't care if all of the cards are on the format, on the platform or not. Make Commander a format on your premier game. This is the one with the UI. This is the one that everybody wants to watch. I've had more viewers recently watching me play Commander on MTGO just because people want to watch it and I want to play it and I have fun playing it. Then will watch me play Brawl on Arena, which I also greatly enjoy. But if you're not going to add Commander, then make Brawl historic. Just do it. You have all of these cards on there. Incentivize me to spend money. I'll tell you, it's the same thing with the Mastery Pass. Every single set that comes out, I buy until I have all the cards. All the cards that I want, or enough wild cards to keep me going. You saw my wild card count earlier in the video. I always spend at least $100 per set, if not more. Kaladesh, I haven't spent a dime on, not a cent, just because I'm kind of disenfranchised with it. I started seeing all the complaints about how much spending it took to get to a reasonable amount of cards to play historic. Incentivize us to spend that money. Make Brawl a historic format forever. I've seen you toying with it. You've been trying these historic Brawl events, I guess, to gauge interest or whatever. But I know it's a more casual side of it, and this is kind of the part of it that nobody is really talking about. It's mostly focused, rightfully so, on the economy and a little bit on the competitive side of it with the ladder transparency and stuff like that. But from a casual MTG Arena player's standpoint, Brawl should be a historic format. All the cards are there. And while you're at it, go ahead and increase the deck size to 99 and have your Commander off to the side and make it so Planeswalkers can't be the Commander. And that would be a great version of Brawl, I think. And the final thing that I wanted to say is maybe consider selling wildcards directly, just straight up. See what it does, just for a month. Just see what it does. You'd probably make a ton of money in that month, and it would fix so many of these economy issues. I wouldn't have to worry about just endlessly cracking booster packs until I get the number of wild cards that I need, until I get the cards that I need. I'll tell you, I'm coming from a side that, I want to swap up what I'm playing a lot. I'm making a lot of videos about stuff, but go back and look at the last 2-3 months of videos. There's not any arena videos. I've been making MTGO videos of Commander stuff because people are disenfranchised with the game. The economy is just absolutely horrid. And I think that selling wildcards directly would fix so many of these issues, and you would get so much so many points back from your player base that if it would be worth it. I think it would be worth it for you to lose whatever income you would get from just endlessly buying booster packs. You would knock out any sort of support of this gambling side of it, even though that's a huge part of MTG in general. And you would have more players on your platform at a cheaper cost. This one's a little out of the norm for me, everybody. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I normally consider myself a very positive person. I normally look for the best. I'm like, well, maybe it'll improve. Well, maybe it'll get better. And after kind of being excited to see the December state of the game and hoping that it was going to have more in it that was, you know, indicative of the future and like the problems that are being talked about ad nauseum, I wanted it to be better.